welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and we are back for another episode of the Real Housewives of Orange County. And this is season 19, it's episode 6, and this is called What Voodoo You Do. And I am doing this review before I'm doing the Real Housewives of Miami. And mind you, there were 2 episodes of Real Housewives of Miami. I saw the episodes, I enjoyed it, but y'all already know I was looking for the most to this comeuppance that Tamara was going to get, and that she did. Now, how we got there, I was not expecting that. And I was trying to do my research ahead of time to figure out if what basically helped cause this, if the rumors were true. It's looking like there's multiple villains in this story. And I'm not going to hold you. It is making Orange County be a slow burn. Like, I feel like at first Orange County was kind of it wasn't giving what I was hoping it was going to give. And also, too, I did not like how it feels like. And in this episode, still, the way they're trying to ice out Katie, I'm not with it. But the problem is, Katie's doing a lot of the things that they're accusing her of doing, and she's not owning up to it. Now, what I have a problem with is, you know who else does the exact same thing, but is held to a much different standard? Tamara. So the fact that we have Tamara trying to rally the troops, if you will, along with Shannon, it's laughable. So that's why I'm just like, you're all the same kind of, like, you three are, let's be so for real, you guys are all the same kind of people. So what are we doing? That's kind of where I'm getting at when it comes to this. And my theory that I mentioned in the episode before, what I thought was going on, I still stand by that. I fully believe that's what's happening. I don't think that Tamara and Shannon really have a problem for real. Like, I think there's an alliance, there's a secret alliance there, and they're trying to get Katie out of there. And we'll get into the episode as we talk about it. But of course, we couldn't stay focused on Katie because Tamara, of course, had to make it about her, like a true horrible, deplorable human being that she is. Anyway, and by the way, if anyone on this channel who's watching my reviews likes Tamara, you're watching the wrong reviewer because I can't stand her. Yeah, I don't like her. Let me just be so honest. I don't like her. Really, when it came to this episode, I'm going to call some MVPs. Gretchen wasn't. I feel like there's 3 MVPs this episode. 3. Gretchen, you know what? I kind of don't understand how she's friend of. I'll be honest. I feel like she's friend of by choice. I think they really were cool with bringing her back all the way, but I don't think she wants us in her business like that for real. Us as a viewer, so that's probably why she's friend of. But like, let's be so for real. She could easily be full-time. She is slid right up in this thing like it's nothing. But Gretchen was the MVP this episode. Jen wasn't necessarily the MVP. I would say she was like, what's the other awards that you get that are kind of in there? But she gets an award too. And then the sleeper, out of nowhere, who I did not expect, and I didn't think I was going to do this for. And my initial reaction while I was watching the show, I was like, oh, wow. I did not see that coming. Gina, you did that. Gina, that was some good work. You know, I feel like this scene alone, you earned your keep for this season. I don't even care about anything else that happens now because you did something that Heather was too scary to do. And that's stand up to Tamara. And anyone that stands up to Tamara is good by my book. I'm going to be so honest. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the episode. So we're actually watching a little bit what happened after the dinner, and so we see that the ladies, they basically roam the streets of the French Quarters. They go to like a rodeo thing, and after that, then they're on the balconies throwing beads and whatnot. Tamara's pretending she's flashing everyone, and I'm like, no one wants to see that. Ill at your big age, absolutely not. Um, and then we see Shannon and Tamara talking, and they basically just make it known we could be in the same room, but we're not cool. And I'm sorry, I'm starting to not believe that. I think that's a lie, based off of we'll get to it, but I don't believe what they're telling me. I don't, because the way Shannon's acting, I don't believe it. Anyway, they're saying they're not cool, and then I believe. I'm trying to remember. And then they're talking about so then after that, Shannon talks about her and Jen, and if they have any, like, how they both feel about Tamara and all that. That's kind of a thing that gets brought up. And then Gretchen and Tamara and trying to patch things up. So we already know this is kind of what the theme of this episode is going to be. Anyway, we get to the next day. And the women are split off into two groups. The troublemaker group that Gina named, that Emily ends up having to basically babysit, if you will, is supposed to be Tamara, Shannon, and Katie, and they're supposed to go to Cafe du Bro. Cafe du Monde. Sorry, Cafe du Monde. Child, I know I did there, but anyway, Cafe du Monde. They're on their way there. And Shannon throws a whole entire childish ass hissy fit. She's 60 and she's acting like she's 10. And says, if Katie's going, I'm not going. And basically tries to ice out Katie. And so Katie's like, it's fine, I won't go. I won't go with you guys. Fortunately, Katie does end up meeting the other ladies after the fact, but she has to take a separate Sprinter van to get there. And I'm just like, Shannon, you're proving so many points that I don't think you were trying to prove, but you seem like a complete terror behind the scenes. Because I'm pretty sure those producers were probably not happy that they had to drive her separately to an event that they put together. Because I know the Housewives say they do this, but really it's the producers and stuff that do it. So you're proving all the points that you are a shitty person. It's been past the first minutes where you're a horrible person. I can tell you are. Because the way you were behaving this episode, it just made me not like anything about you at all. So I don't really rock with you anymore, respectfully. I just don't. And yeah, I mean, I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there. Anyway, so the other women that are together, they go on the trolley and then end up going to like a marketplace, and they end up getting some New Orleans treats. I mean, they both end up getting New Orleans treats, but they're just in a different area, I guess. And that will be Gina, Jen, Gretchen, and Heather. And then, as I already mentioned before, Katie does end up joining them later on because Shannon's failed attempt to try to ice out Katie didn't work. Anyway. So then, while we're with the Gina's group, Gretchen opens up about, she basically says, hey, I am open to forgiving Tamara as long as she takes accountability for her actions. And that has been Gretchen's rhymes the whole entire time with the rivalry between her and Tamara. I mean, the whole entire time throughout the history of the show. That's been the thing. But that's just it. If Tamara takes accountability, which she never does and never has. Anyway. And then from there, they talk about marriage. And it originally gets brought up. I think it was Heather that asked Gina, would she be open to getting married to Travis? And she's like, I don't know. If I did it, I would do it for the kids. And then Jen actually opens up, and this was kind of a revelation for me because I thought last season it wasn't that. But Jen straight up said, that is kind of the main reason why I'm marrying Ryan, for the kids. if it wasn't for the kids, I don't know if I would be open to marriage. Even though I know Ryan's been wanting her to marry him. So, and it makes more sense for it to be a thing too. Like, they might as well get married. You know, if he's basically stepping up and raising other people's kids, other man's kids, yeah, I think he deserves to. If he wants to get married to you, you should do that. Just saying. Anyway, but yeah, all that's good. And then we go back to Shannon. Like, honestly, you having so much vitriol and energy for Katie just because she recorded you at your worst moments, instead of you focusing on that, maybe you should focus on being a better person and stop doing these temper tantrums at your big age. I'm sorry. I mean, can we just like call a thing a thing? If you gave her no material to record you about, you wouldn't have an issue with her. Because I'm pretty sure not just Katie, probably everyone in the show just gets annoyed with your antics. Because honestly, I would be exhausted. And it's really disrespectful that you're late all the time. I didn't know that you were like that too, but like, I just can't stand people who are always late. Like, I have moments where I'm late here and there, but always, and also this is a workspace, so you're late to work all the time. It's not like it's a real social thing. It's a fake social thing for reality TV. It's filming. You're costing people money when you're late. It's just really just rude and just disrespectful. But anyway, sure, Katie is doing a whole bunch of weird stuff, but your vitriol behind it ain't it. And I'm getting triggered watching it, frankly. Anyway, so let's shift a little bit here, and Tamara ends up talking to Shannon. They're trying to clear the air. Really, Tamara's the one who's trying to be cool with Shannon again. And Shannon, so basically Tamara apologizes again and blames alcohol. Blames her bad behavior on when she drinks. And then this is foreshadowing, by the way. She says, I haven't been drinking, and I'm going to not do that. I'm not going to drink throughout my time here. You're never going to see me drunk. Put a pin in that. And Shannon's like, okay, I get that. You're trying to take some ownership for your behavior. I got that. I can maybe try, but we're never going to be the same again. And I do believe Shannon. Like, so when I say that Tamara and Shannon have an alliance going on, it's not a friendship. It's definitely an alliance. Because I think they are teaming up to try to get rid of Katie. That's what I think is happening. Because they're both focused on her as a target a little too much and a little too inconveniently for me. And also, too, Tamara does this every single season. Whenever there's a new person, she focuses on them. She did it with Jen, and when she found out Jen was not moving and not going anywhere, she tries to passively aggressive do it to Jen. And the way she's trying to do it now is she's trying to get rid of Katie because Katie is an ally of Jen. Like, she's still trying to get rid of Jen. She's basically doing the same thing that she did to Gretchen throughout the years to Jen, which is why Jen reached out to Gretchen, because she's literally doing the same playbook yet again. Those who know. Tamara thinks everyone is dumb, but she's the only delusional one in the room. Anyway, so Jen on the other side is talking about this photo yet again. She's like, because she still hasn't seen this photo that's been going around. And she was like, you know what? And she just kind of goes off. And I was like, ooh, I like this Jen. I like this version of Jen. Because she ain't putting up with it anymore. She's like, you know what? 9 times out of 10, the picture that they're probably showing is when I was in the middle of my time of raising my kids. I was all in on mom mode. I wasn't trying to I wasn't paying attention to my looks or anything like that, because I literally was just, focusing on being the family woman. And that's probably and it was probably before I was even going to the gym or anything. And she is using this photo against me. Instead, maybe she should just look at that picture, and maybe she should see something from that picture, and maybe learn how to raise her family and take care of her kids properly. I was like, oh. Heather was like, oh. Heather had nothing to say there. Heather had nothing to say there. And I love that Jen is doing this in front of Heather, because Heather was the other person that was teaming up against her last season. And I feel like Jen, in a subtle way of saying, Pepperidge Farm remembers. Don't play with me. And I love it. I love it. Anyway, and that spiciness is going to come back out later on. And like, Jen, a spicy Jen is like my favorite kind of Jen on this show. I ain't going to hold you. I like it when she gets to be nice in her normal self, but I also like that she's like, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. Don't play with me. Oh, man. Like, she's a Cancer, and I could tell. And I feel like, you know, I feel like we could be cool, you know, because, so for those who don't know, a lot of my girlfriends, like my friends who are like my best friends throughout my years, like formidable years, and even like in my 20s, Cancers. Cancer women. Cancer and Aries, we're like peanut butter and jelly when it comes to the sass mode. And we're also both kind of petty. Oh man, it's great. But we're always on the same side. I feel like that's one of those things I would never. Nope. Nope. Absolutely not. Because the thing is, it's like both of us, because of the way we are, I feel like both of us have like an unspoken, like in both cases of my friends that are Cancers, we had this unspoken thing of, we're never going to go there with each other because we know how bad it could get. So it was never that. But anyway, I think I've never even really had any true arguments with either of them either. Maybe a disagreement, but not like a real like, ugh. But I also just don't really argue with my friends like that for real. Other than like maybe like my guy friends or Tauruses. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, this is not the astrological channel. But I don't know, sometimes there's just some coincidences I notice. But anyway, moving on. So we actually saw earlier in the episode, during like the Housewives montage at the beginning, Emily actually planned out a dog charity parade. And it's like a New Orleans style dog charity parade, and all the proceeds go to helping basically build awareness to animal adoption, particularly dogs. And we know that's part of Emily's storyline, because she has dogs that she has adopted, and so she has those there at her home. And we saw that a little bit this earlier on the season. And so they end up doing this fun little march, and it was cute, a whole entire good vibe. And then from there, they end up going to this place called Bloody Mary Voodoo. Totally Gina's idea. Gina's fascinated by voodoo, we find out in this episode. And immediately, I knew this was not going to go over well with Orange County women. At least some of the Orange County women, because some of the Orange County women are very, like, conservative. Well, for those who don't know, Orange County is... I like watching the franchise, but I already know that probably a lot of them are Make America Great Again people. And so I'm like, okay. So for this show, I always have to kind of separate that. And honestly, for most entertainers and really most corporations, that's one of those things you just kind of have to do in order to coexist, because let's be so for real. If you're a 1%er, you're probably for the BS is going on in this dumpster fire that is the United States of these Americas right now. And so you probably voted for that. And so the three who I'm pretty sure did not partake in this voodoo thing. And I like Gretchen, like, on the show, but I feel like in real life she's probably on that side. I mean, and I notice I love her confessional look, but her looks on this episode or in general, she goes heavy on the orange tanner. And it just kind of reminded me of the Orange Man. And so I was like, why? Why are you orange though? And in Gretchen's case, it pops out like a sore thumb because her hair is like so blonde. It's like that white blonde. And so it's like, it's like, oh my gosh, chill on the spray tan. But anyway, So, but they don't partake and they leave. They like don't stay in because of the lady, Bloody Mary, whose shop that they're at, basically says, by you staying, by you sitting, but like not participating, you're still participating by still being here. And so they're like, okay, we're not going to partake at all. We're going to leave. And so they did. They look like SWV. They just put. You would have thought, just based off of that, you would have thought none of them had a problem, but all three of them have an issue with Tamra. I mean, well, two of them have. Sorry, one of them was Tamra. So both of them have an issue with Tamra. Shannon, she's going to keep it cute and be able to be cordial with Tamra. And we already know where Gretchen lies when it comes to the Tamra situation. Anyway, so while this happens, they proceed to Tamra starts this stuff again. And she prefaces it of how she wants to make things right with, by the way, in the previous scene, according to Emily, she told the ladies that Shannon and Tamara are good. And it's weird because I forgot to mention the rollover thing. So the rollover thing got brought up and Shannon denied saying that to Jen about Tamra. Like, basically, there was an agreement, according to Jen, that she said to Emily that neither of them are going to make up with Tamra because they don't fool with her. But then, fast forward, according to Emily, they made up. But really, they didn't make up. They just... They have a common target right now. That's all it is. That's what I'm seeing. It's not, they didn't really make up for real. They have a common target. I feel like when they made that agreement, I think they made the underlying agreement of, okay, we have our alliance. We're going to do what we plan on doing. And that's trying to get Katie out here. I'm pretty sure that's how I'm reading it. I'm sorry. Y'all can tell me differently in the comments, but this is my channel, my opinion. It's my opinion. My opinion. That's the only Tamraism that I like. Because it applies here. But anyway, I need to get a soundboard, so whenever I say stuff like that, I'll just do that. But that would be so obnoxious. I'm not going to do that. But anyway. So then from there, I mentioned that because I forgot to mention it earlier on. Back to Gretchen and Tamra. Tamra basically alludes to like she wants to make things good with Gretchen, and Gretchen's like, okay girl, you say this all the time. And if you watch previous seasons, she has done this multiple times with Gretchen, and Gretchen's like, I just need action. I'm not going to believe this from you until I see different behavior, which is any sane person would do. Right. And so then from there, out of nowhere, Tamra's like, Kate starts bringing up Katie. She's like, Katie has been talking to the blogs and said that I said something and said that I did something horrible to you. And I want to know, did you tell Katie that or what happened there? And it was alluding to, and I'm just like, girl, this is when I was like, Tamra, you are seriously a piece of shit. You're a horrible human being. And you are reaching for the stars at this point because you can't get anything else to work. You decide to go back 17 years to bring out Naked Gate. So according to Tamra, Katie talked to one of the bloggers and said that Tamra attempted to roofie Gretchen. Gretchen, of course, gets emotional because that's really the origin of Gretchen and Tamra's beef right here. This was the problem. This was the main problem that started things off, that really, really started things off. And in the confessional, Tamra is trying to twist things around and trying to rewrite history as if none of us have Peacock and we can't just go back and watch that episode. I know that episode's on Peacock because it was a very controversial episode of Housewives in that time. And I think around that time, that might have been, I feel like this is still the only franchise still. I don't remember, but like it was a pretty controversial thing to happen. And honestly, that's when we saw how disgusting Tamara really is. That was the start of us seeing, oh my gosh, she is a horrible human being. And so basically, in order to tell the story, they're basically re-showing this footage from 17 years ago. When they were like all like in, I mean, at that time, Gretchen was in her 20s, right? You know, because I think Gretchen's like around the same age as me. She might be older, I think. I don't know. Don't quote me. But anyway, the point is, Gretchen, of course, immediately gets distraught. She's like, oh my gosh. Because that, I mean, if you go back to that, if you are able to go back to that was a horror, like, it was alluded that was happening without it being a thing. And so Gretchen was like, no, I didn't say that. And so she was disgusted at the idea that, you know, she ever said that. Because also, too, let's be so for real, why would Gretchen bring that up? Why would she bring something that old up? Gretchen, unlike you, Tamara, is not desperate. Okay? So that doesn't make any sense. You know, really, until recently, Gretchen, when she stepped away from the housewife, she stepped away. She was one of the few that didn't really get involved in the mess. She didn't really start resurfacing until kind of recently, you know, prior to getting back on the show. So, yeah, no. And so Gretchen right now was torn because she's like, why would my friend do that? Like, she's like, and like, I know Tamara's trying to present to me that she's trying to make up with me, but why would you lead with that? And I'm like, exactly. If you're really trying to make up with someone, you would never lead with something like that. And so Gretchen was like, I'm going to be thinking, but I don't really, so she really wasn't buying it. Immediately, you kind of knew that, but it was just like, to me, I'm like, it's kind of common sense. Why would she believe you, Tamara, over Katie? Katie actually could have really did that, which I think she did an iteration of that, but I don't think she did the exact thing that Tamara said. Because Tamara likes to add sauce to things. But Katie you have to literally call her out with receipts and everything before she owns up to it. And that's why this whole entire thing is a problem. And so immediately when Shannon's there and she's hearing all this, she's flying off the handle. She's not believing anything else other than Katie did this. And this is why I'm just like, okay, Shannon and Tamara have an alliance. Because Shannon has so much vitriol and doesn't believe anything Katie says. But Shannon, I'm speaking directly to you. Why would you believe everything Tamara does? Because Tamara lies too. Both Katie and Tamara are liars, so it's a lie off. That's all it is. To me, this is a lie off. Okay. Try to get it together. I almost got a little too passionate. Before I move on, I had a very interesting end of work week with some coworkers, and this probably is not the time where I should be reviewing this type of a show because some microaggressions happened at my work recently. And, but unlike Katie, I call it out. And so at my job, I actually ended up responding. But of course, like, with respect, I'm never going to go down to your level. That will never happen. But what I did do is I forwarded all of the communication of where I felt wronged and sent it directly to my manager. And I put all of it in the folder. And I also preface it just in case something like this happens again. I'm going to start documenting. Yeah, I'm not going to be treated with disrespect at my workplace. And maybe, Katie, you should be like that too, but also too, you're kind of bringing this on yourself, so this is a little bit different situation. In my case, I was just trying to do my job and the others were not. So I got called out and gaslit for me trying to do my job properly and them not, and wanting to be lazy because it's a Friday. And I'm like, I get it's a Friday, but I feel like at my job, especially where I'm at now, most of us have kind of understanding, like, you do your stuff until like 12. Because Fridays, we have this option where we can use our protected time for whatever we want to use it for. If we need to leave, we can leave. Like, whatever you want to use your protected time for, we can do that. And it's like a department-wide thing, and it's awesome. Like, I love my new job. I love it. I love it. I love it. And this is really the first time where I kind of felt away at my job. And I think that's why it's bothering me, because it was my actual colleagues that did this. And it was just some microaggressions, very slight. But the thing is, maybe because I can be shady on my own, I could catch it. And I'm also one of those people where if I just see a little inkling of you're trying something to see if you can get away with it, we're going to nip it in the butt. So just kind of remind you, you're not going to get away with that with me. But anyway, I say all that to say, I feel like me reviewing this is probably not a good thing for me to be reviewing with how Katie's being treated because of what happened. So if I seem a little extra animated than usual, that is why. Anyway, moving on. So Shannon is still kind of flying off the handle, being really, really annoying and stuff like that. And while all this is happening, there was a little bit of a joke in the between scenes before this came out, where Jen was like pretty much saying that if Tamara did. They both were joking about the voodoo doll thing. Tamara and like Jim were going back and forth about the voodoo doll of the doll. And it wasn't that important, so I just kind of I just wanted to bring it up, but it's not that important. Anyway, but while this is happening, others are doing their voodoo doll thing. It's not really much to see. It seems like it's one of those places where you go as touristy. I don't think their version of it is real, because I just don't believe anything that's a tourist attraction to be a true spiritual place to go to. I feel like if you're really trying to get in that bag, it's not going to be a tourist attraction. You know, this basically I feel like this was more to cater to like white people and what their idea of what voodoo is, or hoodoo really. It's called hoodoo. It's not even voodoo, but anyway. Neither here nor there. That's just a side note. And so fast forward, the ladies are getting ready and for dinner. And before the ladies are getting ready, I don't remember I think Tamara ended up going to Shannon's room, because in Tamara's head, her and Shannon are good. And they're better, but they're not good. Like, and Shannon has made it clear that I can get along with you, but we're really not good. Like, and so, anyway, so Tamara's there, and Shannon's like, "Are you okay? She's like, "Oh, I'm just drinking water. I'm just nervous about everything that's happening here." And when you see the water, that water is not watercolor. It's clearly something in the water. AKA, I don't think it was water at all. And so, again, a whole bunch of Easter eggs of what's about to happen. So, Shannon's getting ready, but Shannon's taking forever. So, the ladies leave without Shannon, and Shannon calls out on the ride there by herself. She's like, "Oh, so much for this sisterhood that Tamara's trying to preach about how they're on one accord." And I'm like, yeah, she couldn't even prove it. That lasted a good couple hours. Yeah, on the same day. That's it. That won't be the only thing that lasted for a couple hours that Tamara claimed and said. Anyway, and so Tamara then runs and tells what happened to Heather, Gina, and Emily. Everyone is pretty much kind of believing Tamara, except for Gina. Gina's like, wow, Katie's not really trustworthy. This is very convenient that Tamara's an opportunist. And I was like, bingo. Bingo. I'm glad this was also another foreshadowing that Gina's hopping off that Tamara train. And we've already been seeing it. That little by little, Gina is like giving Easter eggs of like, yeah. You know, and I guess this is where I'm like, I'm liking Gina like more and more this season because she is really the voice of reason versus Heather's version of voice of reason, which is basically being overly biased towards Tamara voice of reason. Anyway, so then while that's there, Gretchen is literally in her room falling apart. Jen goes in to check in on her, like she's still not ready, and she goes in and check in on her, and then Gretchen spills the beans about what happened. And then Jen's like, oh my God, is just freaking out about it. And she's like, yeah, like you claim you want to make up with me, but then you throw this out there. And Jen's like, yeah, that. And Gretchen already reads the tea leaves of what really is going on. But I think what Gretchen was crying about, I don't think she's crying necessarily about what happened back then. I think partially that, but I think she's just like realizing how disgusting Tamara really is of a person. Because why would you bring that up to try to make up with someone? You bring someone else, you're trying to make up with someone, but yet you bring a low moment in her life that has been, presented in perpetuity. Of you and Vicky humiliating her and basically trying to treat her like a hoe and trying to do what Katie kind of somewhat alluded to with the blogger. Because whether you actually put the drug in her drink or whatever, you did try to get her excessively drunk and do that and have your son sleep with her. That did happen. And Tamara, and this is where I was starting to go off and I just kind of lost my way a little bit for a second. Tamara in her confessional is trying to rewrite history as if that did not happen. That is exactly what happened. She tried to do that. Whether she used any illegal drugs or just alcohol, the fact that you tried to get this woman like under the influence, trying to coerce someone to like sleep with someone is still illegal. Okay? That's illegal. That's still not okay. And she tried to do that. And she's trying to pretend that didn't happen. I was like, no, that did happen. That happened. Anyway, also, I forgot to mention earlier on the scene with Shannon, because Shannon and Tamara this episode were both getting on my nerves. I'm sorry. I'm going to pretend I was okay. And I think Shannon especially got on my nerves more because I used to like Shannon. And along with what I just shared with you, what happened with work on Friday. I'm just kind of like, so Shannon is still flying off the handle about Katie and all that. This was again back at the Voodoo thing and everything. And she tries to like basically make Gretchen go on their side. And she's like, see, she did something to you too. She's like, could you be friends with someone who does some type of illegal act like that? Because she's still harping about her getting recorded. I would be mad about it, but like, girl, all the things that Tamara has done to you throughout the years, let it go. Still, it's not that deep. It really isn't. And also too, maybe if you improve your actual behavior, that wouldn't have happened, but neither here nor there. Anyway, and Gretchen literally, that clap back was just such quick timing. She's like, well, I mean, technically you got a DUI, so I am hanging out with someone who, and that was an illegal act. I'm hanging out with you right now. And Tamara, this is one of the few times in her confessional that I got cackled. She's like, this is the few times I agree with Gretchen. I was just like, and she was like, and return serve. I love Gretchen on this show. Gretchen is, I ain't gonna hold you, she's one of the main reasons why I'm watching this season. I'm still watching it. She is entertaining to me. But anyway, so Gretchen is like, is getting consoled by Jen, and then Katie does end up joining them. And Katie, of course, immediately denies, like she always does, but that doesn't mean she didn't do that. And she did, but not quite. I feel like she did. I'm not saying, okay, I can't say she did. I feel like she did, but not exactly how Tamara worded it. Because Tamara put sauce on everything. But I think she did bring up Gretchen's situation from seasons ago. But I think she was doing it to make a point about how Tamara's not a good person. I think that's what happened there. Because, I mean, she's not really wrong. And by the way, I should probably put allege, because based off of how they edited that show years ago with the Tamara and Vicky situation versus Gretchen, it did come off like what Katie is alluding to happened. I wouldn't say the date drug. I don't think that was what happened. I mean, I'm not sure. But the taking advantage part, yeah. It was a really nasty episode. I'm not sure if it's even still on Peacock. I actually should go back and see if it's there. I think it was probably season 4, season 5. I don't know. I'm actually going to see if it's there. And if it is, they probably got rid of it because it was cringe. Anyway. Let me put a pen in it and see that scene because I think I could probably find it. If it's not, I want to actually do my research real quick. But no memento. I rewatched it. That scene. Yeah, no. Point still stands with what I said. I said what I said. Because she said, I wanted to get Gretchen naked wasted. What does that mean exactly? So that she could hook up with your older son. Yeah. It's gross. And the fact that Tamara in this episode is trying to rewrite history as if that did not happen, you are truly a nasty person. You're deplorable. And I just rewatched it. You know, if that particular episode is not on if it's not on Peacock, you can find it on YouTube. That particular scene. And I didn't watch the full episode. I just went directly to the scene to see if I was misremembering things. I was like, oh no. Because the thing is, I binge watch a lot of these shows during the pandemic, so a lot of the things I'm like, I don't know if I remember that all the way right, but yeah, no, I wasn't wrong. But some people still like Tamara afterwards, after all that happened. But that's when the beginning of people stopped messing with Tamara after that, and so that's when the animosity continued between Tamara and Gretchen. Technically, Tamara, Vicky versus Gretchen. That was kind of what was happening. But Vicky has apologized for all her stuff, and Vicky and Gretchen now are good. Like, Gretchen was on Vicky's podcast kind of recently. So, like, they're good. There's no issues there. It's really just Tamara still being Tamara. Because, yeah. But anyway, I kind of wanted to bring that up. And even, like, Jen, when she was talking to Gretchen, she's like, she was talking about like, yeah, I don't remember what happened with Naked Gate. Like, I don't even know what happened there completely. And no one really does for real to this day. But the way it was edited on the show, it is enough for what Katie said. A version of it. The predatoriness was there, is what I'm trying to get at. No matter what, it was predatory. Whether she used illegal drugs to help make that a thing, or she used alcohol, the full principle of the matter was Tamara was being predatory towards Gretchen to embarrass her on national TV. And this was season 4, for those who want to go see it. If you're someone who's new to watching OC, like I am. I was somewhat new. Anyway. And so they end up rallying around Gretchen. And Gretchen, I think right then they realized, you know what? I don't believe Tamara. And honestly, I think the way Gretchen has seen it, if Katie brought this up to a blogger, she had her reasons. And again, I think this is my theory, but because Katie don't know how to defend herself or anything, this is me giving you some bail, just a little bit. I think she was using this to defame Tamara, but wasn't really wrong. She literally was using it to defame Tamara, but Tamara tried to spin it to make it seem like that she's using it to try to defame Gretchen. She's really trying to defame Tamara. And really just rehashing something that happened to basically state an example of Tamara being a horrible person. And that, I think, is what's being lost. And I think Katie, because she does a horrible job of explaining herself, she just flat out denied it all the way together. Because the question I was presented to Katie was, did you say this? Like, she did say it, I feel like, though. I just think the context is what we're missing. Okay? Because to me, I'm like, why would you all of a sudden attack Gretchen? She wouldn't. She was attacking Tamara. And that's the part that we're missing here. But anyway. So they were the last to show up to this dinner. And then this dinner gets really messy really quickly. So as this dinner is happening and we're waiting for all the ladies to get there, look at Tamara. Tamara looks really off. And not like off as in like she's drunk. She looks like she's on something. And it gets progressively worse as things happen. Like she starts to slur her words, but like not slurring it as in like drunk slur, like pill popping slur. And I kind of saw it too, because unfortunately I've had that point in my life where I was doing those things too. So I could see it from a mile away when it's not alcohol, it's something else. I could just always see it. When I see it, I know. I'm like, oh, that is not just alcohol. Certain things you could just see. But anyway, especially if you have dabbled in the past. And unfortunately, that's a little bit of my history. I have in the past. Very long ago past, but past. Anyway. So immediately as they sit down, Katie feels awkward because she knows she's been talked about. Because she has been talked about. And Shannon is still just being such a bitch towards Katie. To the point where it's like, oh my God, let it go. And it's to the point where even like Heather's like, this is getting ridiculous. Like, let the mouse go. Like, it's getting bad. Because immediately also when they show up, Tamara tries to pull, she goes ahead and pulls Gretchen aside. And Tamara, in her delulu way, thought that Gretchen was going to believe her over Katie. And Gretchen was like, yeah, no. She didn't really necessarily directly say she didn't believe Tamara, but she's like, I don't believe that Katie would do such a thing to attack me. So Gretchen did the in-between thing, which is the correct response, because we know Katie talked to the blogger. We know that. But did she use that information to attack Gretchen? No. She was using that information to attack Tamara and her shitty character. And like clockwork, guess who proved Katie right? Tamara did. Immediately she turns it around, tries to play victim. She's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you don't believe me. Yada, yada, yada. And Gretchen's like, oh my God, this is disgusting. And Tamara, in a weird way, I think single-handedly is reminding Gretchen why she did not want to come back full-time, because she does not want to deal with Tamara and her BS. She was living a peaceful life, mind her own business until this. But anyway. And so they go back to sit at the table. And because the other thing is Tamara wanted Gretchen to bring it up. Because Tamara thinks she's way more slick than what she is. And Gretchen's like, so you want to use me to set Katie up. I'm not going to be doing that. This is not a Katie takedown season. And I'm so glad Gretchen was like, I'm not doing that with you. Why would I team up with you? Like, I don't even like you. Like, hello. And so, again, Tamara is just being a victim. And her trying to set up Katie and then also setting up Gretchen at the same time failed. And and Shannon is like, oh my God, Gretchen, you're the first person who believes Katie. And then Katie, like clockwork's like, oh my God, shut up. You shut up. You shut up. You shut up. Just sounding like a freaking Karen. And Gretchen, I love that Gretchen stood on business and stayed defending Katie, as she should. And then Jen calls, and then Jen, slides in there and just opened the gate. She's like, you know what? If we're going to call people out, Jen was like, if we're going to call people out, Tamara, what is this photo that you keep showing everyone? What is this photo? And then Tamara's like, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing. And that's literally how she's talking. I'm not even exaggerating. That is how she's talking. Her eyes look crazy. She looks gone. And then Jen calls out right away. She's like, girl, are you on some Xanax or something? What is this? I was like, Jen, when she comes in hot, she comes in hot. I was like, oh my God. And then Jen's like, and then Gretchen's like, yeah, what is this photo? And then Tamara's like, shut the F up to Gretchen. And Gretchen's like, what the heck? And then she says it to like Katie, and she just starts saying that to everybody in the table. She starts like lashing out to everyone on the table. And Gina finally just has enough. And she's like, well, before Gina has enough, she's like, she finally has enough. She's like, oh my God, Tamara, you're being mad rude and disrespectful. What you're not going to do at my table, because this is my table, is do what you're doing right now. Stop it. Like, you're sloshed out of your mind. And that's what triggered her right there. That's what got her. Her getting called out on her being under the influence and like being not drunk, but under the influence. That's what got her. She just went like this, just soul snatched her. Just like, whoop. And I did not expect that coming from Gina. And then even Heather was like, yeah, you're doing too much, Tamara. I don't know what's going on with you or what's happening, but what is this? And then Jen, once she sees that what she said was true, possibly, about her not just being drunk, she's like, yeah, I'm going to put a pin on my issue. You're clearly not in the right state of mind right now. We're going to leave that alone. And Shannon, as all this is happening, she's just like, wow, just 5 hours ago, you told me you weren't going to do this, but then yet you show up in my hotel room with a drink that didn't look like water, and now look at you. I was like, Tamara is a piece of work. Like, if it comes from her mouth, it's all the truth. There's no such thing as lying. Morality, there's no such thing as that. As long as it's about her, it's fine. Wild. Anyway, Tamara feels cornered and she leaves. She breaks the fourth wall, starts talking to producers, and starts crying. She's like, I want to go home. I want to go home. And then Heather goes to try to comfort her, and she starts lashing out at Heather. And Heather's like, oh my God. And in Heather's confessional, she's like, I have been getting killed trying to have your back. And this is how you repay me? And I was like, Heather, I don't know why you didn't see this coming. Tamara only cares about Tamara and Tamara alone. And that's why no one else really fools with her like that for real. Heather, Emily tolerates her because she's scared of her. That's it. And you saw Gina was trying to lead the ride of being on her side for a while now. Especially now that she sees the other side is stronger now. She feels like, because like, let's be so for real. Gina, we already know Gina and Emily are like, they're scary. They're scared. But now that they see that the scale is tipping, and with Gretchen being on the other side, I feel like I fully believe that was where Gina's coming from. She's like, oh, I can actually tell the truth now. Okay, I'm going over here. Because I think she was just like pacifying her because she was afraid of her too. You know? Because Tamara has attacked every single woman at that table. The very thing that Shannon is trying to accuse Katie of doing. But there's actual receipts of Tamara doing this. So I'm like, Shannon, shut the F up. Shut up. Anyway. So after that, then randomly, Tamara lashes out at Gina via text, says F off. And Gina's like, that was still not cool. Like, no, that wasn't cool. And then she's like, I quit. And then that's when we see her Instagram post about her quitting the show. She did that during that trip at that point in time and leaves. And then the episode is a to be continued. What did y'all think of this episode? It was good to me. I was highly entertained. I actually might go back and watch it again. It was really, really good. To me, it was actually more entertaining than Miami. Yep. To me, it was a lot more entertaining than Miami. You'll get the Miami review after this. I'm going to go ahead and edit this and put this out first. And then I'll do both the Real Housewives reviews. I'm probably going to still split it up because it was 2 back-to-back episodes. But I'll be fully transparent for those who watch Real Housewives reviews. I'm just not interested in the Lisa versus Larsa situation. Maybe that's why I just wasn't as invested. I don't know. There's just still something missing for me when it comes to Real Housewives of Miami. I'm looking forward to the reunion, but it's just not until things are truly called out. And also, too, I'll be honest, I feel like some of the Real Housewives of Miami stuff that is interesting is not happening on the show. It's what's happening outside the show via Todd. Yeah. But you know what? I think this is what the pattern is, and I don't want to make this video longer than what it needs to, but I'll bring it up again during the Real Housewives of Miami. But I think Bravo needs to learn something. Any shows that take an extensive break and they come out way later, it suffers. And I think that's kind of what happened with Real Housewives of Miami this season. It's basically very similar to how they treated Real Housewives of Atlanta. Like, everything is stale. Everything been happened. And so even when we're seeing all the social media reactions and stuff with the cast members, they're reacting to something that happened over a year ago. So it's just kind of, it's not landing the way it should. It's just kind of like, And with like Orange County, they picked it up and kept it moving. So I feel a little bit more of a reaction with that. And same thing with even Dubai. They waited too long with Dubai. So I think the Bravo people, y'all need to stop doing this pausing thing and holding on to something and then releasing it way later. It doesn't work. There's just always just an essence of it missing. And it's hard for me to stay invested all the way as much as I would when it's kind of more up to date. Because especially the way social media works with the shows, most people have social media on their phones. Most people, especially people who really like the show, are following these people. So they already saw some of this stuff play out. And then, I mean, once you see it happen, it's done. It happened. I don't need to go back to it. Versus with this, we knew the Tamara situation was going to happen, but like, that wasn't that long ago. Can you imagine if they would have sat on this for a year and then we find this out? It wouldn't have landed the same. You know what I mean? So anyway, because the New Orleans thing probably happened because I know they started filming like in February, something like that, because they were filming at the beginning of the year. You know, so, and with Real Housewives Miami, I don't know when they filmed, but it wasn't the normal time that they do it. And I think it suffered because they did that. If they would have just continued where they left off, I think it would have been different. But anyway, but that does conclude the review. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. I'm gonna have to do some editing because I got a little too passionate. But it is what it is. But anyway, I will see you next time. Bye. I was thinking about going to the gym. I don't know if I'm going to or not. Anyway, bye.